Welcome to Lacer's Tech Tip of the Month, Online Finance Management. And one of the most popular tools used in that is a product called QuickBooks Online. What QuickBooks Online is, it's an online accounting software, a ledger sheet. Think of the old paper ledger sheet that you used, now slowly converting to a sheet that you can fill in on your computer. And take that one step further and have all that information saved in a secure cloud site through QuickBooks into it. This means when you set up your account, your chart of account, you port in your bank and your credit card and your billing and your health insurance and any other expenses and incomes, you have one place to aggregate all that information. And I'm going to give you a moment here where I'm going to show you some views from inside of QuickBooks Online. But the main point, probably the safest reason to have this, is if you have several income streams or expenses or any kind of household finance, this is a way to view everything in one place. That means you can see in one place expenses going in and out of different credit cards, making sure payments are made on time, making sure income is received on time. And then further, this can be shared with your bookkeeper, accountant, or a trusted person so they can access this important information if you can't, or when it comes tax season, that they can put together. So let's take a couple of looks at some of the views. Share our screen. View number one. Inside of QuickBooks, after you set up your account, you'll be able to see different features. Many different features that you would normally be using a calculator for, that'll be done here automatically. Let me show you some of them. So if we look on the left, you'll see the different features. One is banking. This one I like, because if you go even further to the right, you can see your bank account, which you have ported into your chart of accounts and your QuickBooks account. Keep a real-time accounting of the data you put in and out and what's actually occurring at the bank. So if there's something different than you put in expense-wise or income-wise, then you could track that pretty easily in one place, and perhaps it's a fraud or a mistake, or sometimes both. Next, we have sales. We'll convert that word to income. Say you have one income, it's your retirement, it's your pension, that would be your income. Let's say you have that income plus Social Security or plus some other income stream. Could be a rental property, could just be a part-time income from some other source. You can track all that here. That would be there. Expenses. Could be your monthly expenses, the regular monthly expenses, your mortgage, rent, HOA, insurance, medical. You put all your expenses there, whether recurring or whether they're one-offs. And your workers, do you have anybody that does things regularly? Do you have a housekeeper, or do you have a home health care person that comes in, or anybody else that you employ or deploy for your services? You can track them here, their W-9s and so forth. Of course, reports. You can put anything together at any time and create any kind of reports to see how much you paid in electricity for that year. You could just make a report for your LADWP, or you could do the same for medical expenses. And you could see all those reports in many different forms. Keep track of your yearly taxes. If you pay quarterly taxes, if you pay anything in advance, here's a good place to see where your year is and where your years were. Your accounting. Let's say you have one of these set up for you. You could also set one up for a dependent or your mom or somebody you're taking care of, and manage their books and their accounts completely and safely in one place, which will show everything you see here to make sure that person is covered in one easy place. And then part of that I like is my accountant. My accountant has access. So that means several times a year, they can go and look at my QuickBooks, make sure everything is up to date, make sure every taxes are paid. And of course, when that tax time comes, they'll immediately have access to your well-kept up QuickBooks page to be able to put together your taxes moving forward. The other screen is going to be your chart of accounts. Let's take a look at this one. So there's your chart of accounts. In here, you can put the different accounts. Inventory could be mortgage. Uncategorized asset could be auto repair. All these could be different subjects, what they're for, details, and then the balances. And you can run a report on each one of them. You can create different charts of accounts for different items. We'll stop that sharing. The point of this is we'll take it on a base level that everything is safe and you're trusting the cloud in this service. You know, when it comes to trusting the cloud, Intuit uses the same encryption as MasterCard or Visa or Bank of America. It's a pretty big company. All of those, though, go into the same realm of I get in my car, I turn it on, I drive down the street, and I trust the brakes are working. I never really check the brakes in my driveway. I don't know, I just turn it on and I go. I probably should. That is the assumption for those considering the safety aspect of keeping all this online. Truth is, it's there anyway, whether it's the IRS or your banking or your credit cards. It's somewhere. This is just a way to get it in one place. The average cost for a beginning subscription, this is not free, for QuickBooks Intuit, I believe, is $12 a month for the basic. And then you can go up from there as services move on. You know, I'm not endorsing or not endorsing this product, but I do use it. And I do take that leap of faith and trust it. And in my case, and I'm not retired yet, is it keeps everything in order. I do see it as something more valuable for my retirement, in my case, because I'll be able to see where everything I planned for is in one particular item. So I'd be able to go to my QuickBooks Online and watch my retirement and see it every month and even look at funds that are growing or decreasing. And you know, so it's a good online tool. It's also a good online tool, not just for today, but in 10 years from today and seeing how we're doing. They've been around a long time. Do I recommend it? For me, I recommend it. I use it for my mom, who's 87 years old. And then she can still peek in there and see everything when she wants to see where this is or where that is, as opposed to going to different websites. Take your time with this, learn it. There's a couple of other products out there that we can talk about in class. And mostly, with anything you do, keep an eye on these things. If you do deploy something like QuickBooks Online, check it. If you have a credit card account, check it. Your eyes are the biggest police on your finances and your portfolio. Well, folks, now you've had a little overview of what QuickBooks Online can do for you, a short synopsis. What we're going to do in this part, get ready, hold on, is go step by step through every single movement you need to make to align yourself with a QuickBooks Online account. The steps are pretty simple. We'll take you through signing up, getting to the correct QuickBooks Online website, what the different products they serve you with, from the basic to the more advanced, the differences in those products, how to safely and easily manage those either by your computer or your phone, home or away, or have somebody else help you look at your finances once you give them secure access to your account. Several other things that we'll look at moving forward, you'll see on the dashboard. On my left, you'll see a list. This will be in your experience when you sign into your QuickBooks Online account, your online ledger. Let's briefly review some of these. Number one will be a dashboard. You'll see immediately, which we'll get to in a moment, where all of your different input sits in an aggregated form, which means in front of you, we will see your income, your expenses, your itemized deductions, your itemized expenses, and itemized income accounts. This is a great part. You can set your bank account where it's connected to QuickBooks. So in real time, you can see your expenses as you enter them, match with the deductions in your bank account, as opposed to going between a receipt and the bank account or a website or trying to find an expense somewhere and match it up with that exact deduction from your bank account. Next, you'll see all your transactions. You can set up where your credit cards, your bank accounts, your debit cards, your checks, any form or tool that you use to pay your bills, or any income that you receive is in one clear place. You can define them and see them all lined up. Next, sales. Think of sales as income. If you're a retiree, think of that as your pension and Social Security or any other source of income that you get. That could even be a part-time job, a one-off part-time job, any kind of income that you receive anywhere, you could put in one place. This is great for taxes at the end of the year. It's also a really good way to see what you're earning over time. So it'll help you balance out your plans in the future. Clients and leads. If you're running a small business, a part-time small business, help you along with your retirement, this is where you'll be able to organize whoever those clients are. It could be one person that you work with, could be a small business you work with, could just be a couple of people you work with a few times a year. Your cash flow, see what's coming in and what's going out in real time. You don't have to go and piece of paper and scratch it out or even guess. Your expenses. This has a lot to do with you. Every day, twice a week, twice a month, you can sit down with your QuickBooks account when we're here, and I will show you, and you can organize all your expenses. Many of those can be automated. You can put your utilities, your LEDWP bill in there, your cable bill, healthcare expenses that rotate automatically, and you won't have to enter those. You'll see those monthly, and you'll see those monthly lined up with the bank. And then any other receipt or any other expense that's just a one-time expense. If you're disciplined, which is still a part of all this, you get it in there, put your receipt in there, and you can keep a good track. One of the great tools is that you can have the QuickBooks Online app on your telephone. So be going to Carl's Jr. and you can take a picture with your phone of the receipt, and it can go into your account as an expense. You don't have to miss any of those little things that end up adding up and wondering, where did all the money go this month? You'll be able to see it if you enter that. If you're running a payroll at all, this is where you'd organize that. It's an add-on service. This is probably Elijah the Tech's favorite plot of reports. You can run any report, any kind of accounting report, just be basic cash flow report, money in and money out. You can define what vendors you're using a lot of. You can see which accounts. You can create a report to match anything, or you can just take a quick peek. Just once a month, you could run a report and see where you're at. And very much so at the end of the year, or if you pay quarterly taxes throughout the year, you begin to see where you are, what you owe moving forward. Taxes, oh boy, I don't really see much more about that, but you can keep all your taxes in order here, however you organize yourself. So everything is running, and it's running currently throughout the year and filling itself in. So when it's time for you to review it, to pay the taxes, you just have one place to go, depending on you entering the data. Mileage. I guess Zoom is taking a lot of that out of the world, but if you do drive around and you're tracking those miles, it's an easy way to do that. Let's talk about accounting. If you have somebody that helps you, you have a bookkeeper or accountant or trusted other person, you can set them up so they can see all your accounting, which aligns to the next tab. You're allowed to give permission. It's called view only permission, which means they can't enter an expense or remove an expense, but your bookkeeper or accountant or professional can go and look in your account at any time because you've given them permission and review your expenses and help you along with things. It's also indispensable if you're indisposed and somebody needs to see everything in one place, as opposed to going into your place and trying to fish through everything to figure out where everything is. Well, you need that help. If you've organized this, everything can be with your accountant or trusted person at any time. Capital, well, nothing's free. They want to see if you can get a loan. They'll try to help you consolidate loans if you wanted that. You can attach other apps if you're more advanced, and you can put all your insurances from homeowners, renters insurance to auto insurance in this tab. They're all really easy to get to. The thing about QuickBooks is if you enter your things in an organized way, which we'll review in a moment, these things auto-populate over here. So many of these things will just automatically be filled up, and they'll have data in them just because you entered it once. You won't have to be redoing that many times over and over. So sit back, take a breath, let's stretch. Let's talk about the exciting world of online ledgers. And as we move forward, remember, you can pause this video, you can watch it over and over again. This is just one tool, but I think a good one. So let's move forward here and watch the videos and learn a little bit more about setting up and moving on to QuickBooks Online. Very first thing, we want to make sure we're going to the right place. Open up a new, fresh page. In your web page, whether it's a Chrome browser or Safari browser, Microsoft Edge or Firefox, you have a search section. You also have a URL bar, which is like going right to the exact address, just not searching for suggestions based on the words you put in. On the very top, we're going to type in QuickBooks Online. .com. I'll enter. I'm now in QuickBooks. You're in the official site. I'm going to take us back here because I brought us to a page in there that can explain a few things. When you're in QuickBooks, definitely take a look around. It's no cost to look around. They're a big company, and it's an Intuit product, which is a government contracts. They're about as big as your Apple computer or Microsoft computer as far as safety and encryption, and we'll talk about that. They have several plans. We'll talk about the first two. I think those are the most common. The basic simple start, or what I guess they call the plus. And we can go through these features, multiple users. So that means with the simple start plan, you can have just one user, that would be yourself. With the plus, you can have up to 5 people. That could be you, an accountant, if you are running a small business, somebody that needs to input data, and so on and so forth. You can go a little higher over here. It's actually a lot more higher than just a little over here, and you can have several users. Let's take a look at some of the features. You can invite your accountant to access your books for seamless collaboration in any time, and that has been helpful to me. You can give employees or people that just do things for you. If you have somebody that helps you, or one person in the house is assigned to this, that person can be doing the daily affairs of putting in the expenses and tracking your banking. And you can have different levels where you can allow somebody to just look at a certain part of your data. And this person can just look at the expenses, and their job is to put in the receipts or the invoices, so on and so forth. The next feature is probably the one that if I discipline myself, I can really save money and just make my buck go a lot longer, certainly in this environment. And that's track your income and expenses. There's a short video here that is put together by QuickBooks, and I think it says it pretty well. So let's take a look.
Because QuickBooks easily and quickly connects with all of your bank accounts online, you'll always have access to the most up-to-date information about your business's health. We'll show you how to make sure your accounts are connected to QuickBooks, categorize transactions, and run reports to keep tabs on your business. Connecting your bank and credit card accounts to QuickBooks eliminates tons of data entry and keeps your business's books up to date all the time. Doing this is easy. Choose your bank and use the username and password you use to access that account from the bank's website. Hang tight. It may take up to a couple of minutes for your bank's computers to talk to QuickBooks. Now you see all the accounts you have at this bank. Choose the account you use for your business and tell QuickBooks what kind of accounts they are. QuickBooks connects to your account and downloads all the transactions for the last 90 days. Here's the thing. These transactions aren't really in QuickBooks yet. You can easily sort these transactions with QuickBooks' help. First, click the category or match column to sort the transactions. You'll see where QuickBooks tried to find categories for some transactions. If you agree with the category QuickBooks gave a transaction, leave it. To put a transaction in a different category, open the menu and choose the right category. Now that you've connected your accounts and know how to categorize transactions, it's time to take a bigger look at how your business is doing. The most important information for any business is to see what you're really making and spending. You can get a summary of this right here on your dashboard. You can also run reports like the profit and loss report, which will show you more detail about where you're spending the majority of your business's money. You can even see your expenses as a percentage of your income. This is very helpful in understanding where your money is going. For example, you can see here that for every $1,000 you receive in sales, you spend $50 in advertising. There are tons of reports you can run to get a better sense of how your business is doing.
We'll stop there for a moment. In QuickBooks, they use the word business. And I guess that's a transition word. The concept for QuickBooks Online is that everybody's in business. Maybe I'm just going to presume you're retired and you have your pension and you have Social Security, and that's your income. But you're managing that. I mean, that's your business. Is those incomes come in, your expenses go out, and it's no longer like I'm under the umbrella of something else that's managing my affairs. It is my business. I guess that's what the way QuickBooks is trying to sell, that every American consumer, every consumer is your own little business. Everything that comes in and goes out. You're the one that manages how many things that get purchased or how long you let the tires go on the car, every one of those details. So when you hear that word business, just think of your money and your income streams and how to manage that. And God willing, we'll all live a lot longer and have to manage our money streams even tighter. Let's move on to some other parts and features of QuickBook. I almost called QuickBooks Facebook. Capturing, organizing receipts. If any of you remember having to go over and scan these or staple them to a piece of paper, it's all become a whole lot easier. Even to get a receipt from as simple as Home Depot or Carl's Jr. and put it into your QuickBooks account. I find this to be really helpful. It takes some discipline. Of course, nobody has more discipline than a retired city employee who managed all those affairs. You can maximize your tax deductions. If you properly categorize your expenses and you delineate and separate what's was a sandwich for lunch and what was a pipe fitting for the home repair, QuickBooks will help you aggregate those into valuable expenses that will be reported to your taxes. If you're up to date with your QuickBooks and you are putting data in, this has saved me money every year. Let's take a quick look.
This is Jason from the QuickBooks team. Once you've connected your bank account to online banking in QuickBooks, QuickBooks downloads your recent transactions every day. All you need to do is review each transaction, categorize them into the correct account on your chart of accounts, and then add them to QuickBooks. Let's go over how to review the transactions downloaded from your bank and how to categorize them and add them to QuickBooks. Go to Banking or Transactions and select Banking to get started. You'll see a box for each bank and credit card you've connected. Select any of the boxes to see the downloaded transactions for that account. Here is where you'll see all the transactions that QuickBooks has downloaded from your bank. These aren't in QuickBooks yet. You still need to categorize them to add them. To do this, select the transaction to see more details. The vendor customer is optional, but it helps you run reports later to see who you paid or who paid you. Select the category that best describes why you spent or received the money. The category is the account the transaction will go into. If the transaction is a sale, categorize it as income. Select the income account that you use to track these kinds of transactions. You'll probably see lots of business expenses like rent or materials purchases. If you're recording a purchase you made, you usually categorize it as an expense. But if the purchase is something that you'll use over and over again for many years, like a vehicle or a computer, you might categorize it as a fixed asset. You won't see these often. If you don't see a category that works, you can add one here. These fields are for assigning expenses to customers to make them billable, and this area is for tagging expenses so you can track the money you're spending. These are both very useful features, so we've included videos at the end that explain in detail how to use each. You can enter any other notes in the memo field. Over time, QuickBooks will recognize transactions from the same vendors and customers and try to categorize them for you. However, you can still change the category. You can even manually change this setting with this link. You can also split a transaction into multiple categories if you need. Select the categories and add the amount for each one. Just make sure it adds up to.
We'll stop there for a moment. As you can see, once you automate your expenses, and again, business just means your income and expenses, QuickBooks will help you see where all the line items land. And that'll put everything in a much clearer place. And after 3 months or a year, you get to really see some good patterns moving along over there. Let's go back to the site. Look at some other important features. Let's talk about running reports, probably my favorite part. So you can run a report and look at any part of your business or, as I said, personal finances. I also do this for my very personal finances and my mom's. And let's take a look at some of these reports because I find it to be very, very helpful throughout the year.
QuickBooks has lots of pre-created reports you can customize to show you the information you need the way you want to see it. You can email your custom reports automatically too. Let's start by customizing a profit and loss to show you sales and expenses by month. Start with the regular profit and loss report. Click Customize. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do to customize your reports. If you've got some time, spend it playing with the different options to see what they do. You won't hurt anything, and you don't have to save your experiments. For this example, first we'll choose to show profit and loss by month. Go to Rows Columns and choose Months. Then go to Header Footer and change the report title to Profit and Loss by Month. Click Run Report to see your custom Profit and Loss by Month report. To save your changes to this report, click Save Customizations. Choose Add Group and name the group Management Reports. Then click Save. Anytime you want, you can go to My Custom Reports and click the name of the report to run an up-to-the-minute version of it. Now let's create another custom report, Sales of your design services by customer, broken down by month. First, search for sales reports and choose Sales by Customer Summary. For this example, let's change the transaction date to last quarter. Then go to Customize. Go to Rows Columns and choose Months in Columns. Now choose Filter, then Products Services, then choose Design. Finally, go to Header Footer and title this report Quarterly Design Sales by Month. Click Run Report. In this example, you can see that design sales lagged in January, but picked up by March. Now you can save these customizations and add this report to your Management Reports group.
We'll stop there. Finally, we'll take you to what I think is something they're really good at. QuickBooks has great support. They're US based. I can call them, I can get in touch with them, and they can help me work through just about anything I've bumped into. Now, here's something really important. Your bookkeeper or your accountant, whether you're the person that does your taxes every year or whether you have somebody that does that every year, I think it's pretty helpful to talk to that person or company prior to setting up a new online ledger sheet to see if it's something they work with. I find mine does, and many do. We get a lot of calls at the shop to help set this up, just the basic account, because their bookkeeper or accountant wants it. I think it saves money and time. I think if the bookkeeper or accountant can get to your finances easier, it's in one place, you've done the work on your end. It's not a matter of sending in that big package at the end of the year with everything stapled. You know, you can sort of organize. It's just a faster and more efficient flow, and it helps move forward. So we've had a little review at QuickBooks Online. I'll put some links at the end of the video for you to be able to get to QuickBooks Online and study those same videos that we looked at in even more further detail. But at this moment, let's do that 7th inning stretch over here and get ready for the next part. Here we are, because we're still doing our finance. We're in a marathon finance session. So I'm going to take you to my actual live chart of accounts in an actual living, breathing day in my life in QuickBooks. The names have changed and the numbers have changed, so most of those have been blocked out just for security purposes. But let's take a look what it is to wake up in the morning and say, okay, let's take care of my finances so I can go fishing. Here is a living, breathing, active chart of accounts. So you can see same things on the other side. In this list, you could see for this month, in this person's expenses, they made $9,531, and they had $3,748 of expenses. So their net income for the month was so far is $5,783. You can break these down. You can click further, and we can go and look at your income, and it'll open up a mini report on where those incomes came from. And go back. We can say, where are my expenses? And you can see where those expenses came from. Many of these can be put in as automatic expenses every month, and several can be put in as things that you have to log in because they're just one-offs. A greater breakdown of my expenses. As you can see, a little bit bigger. You can change how you want to see that. See the fiscal year and this month. Anybody owes you money? If you are running some small business, you have unpaid invoices. In this section are all your invoices. And we'll talk further later about how to create an invoice for those that are still wanting to bring an income stream, a proper invoice. It has been proven that any side work that you do, if you create proper bookkeeping and you present clear ways for the customer to pay, even if it's the next door neighbor, folks like to pay more and pay more on time because it's an organized flow everyone can track. On the far right, you can see the bank accounts that are connected, right? And the credit cards that are connected. So that's reconciling in real time. Further down, this is a year of my income, of this user's income, 1 year. And you can track each year and where it's going. This looks like it's sloping the wrong way. But nevertheless, things follow a season. And this would be, you can break that down by different periods of time. They're always trying to pitch you money. You can hide that. You can track any deposits you've made, so on and so forth. Let's move on to our panel. It's a great button up here. It's new. So I just hired one of you out there to come and do some specialty thing that only you can do. And you've done it. And I paid you. So now I'm going to put that in here and I'm going to pick a new expense. I'm going to open up my expenses. And who did I pay? Let's just say I played, I know who I'm going to pay. Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, not a real client. I think I made that was my first entry when I was practicing many years ago. So I'm going to go to Jerry Garcia and what's it for? I have a category here. Some are pre-listed. I'm going to say Jerry Garcia was for obviously entertainment. Description, bought 2 CDs, yeah. And the amount of that sale, of that expense was $27.32. Going down further, and I think a great part, this is an attachment section, which means I can grab a document on my desktop, the receipt that I've scanned or taken a picture and sent to myself, and I can drop it right in there. Oh, here's the wrong thing. And I can drop it right into the attachment section and it uploads. And that now when I save this, it'll save the expense, the category, and I'll have a receipt of the payment. And furthermore, how did I pay? I paid with a credit card, cash, check, so on and so forth. Let's say credit card. It was marked on the credit card. You can add other little things like a reference number or tags, which is something to talk about further, where you can tag different vendors with one title. You could tag your Claremont rental property, and everybody under Claremont would show up. That would be the plumber, the carpenter, the so on and so forth. I'm going to cancel that here. Several other new things that you'll be doing regularly is creating the invoice, where you can go in here and you're going to send the bill to Abigail. You're going to choose the date of the service, a product that you gave that person, document preparation, you help somebody organize their home, excuse the typo, closet organization, don't laugh, it's a big business building closets. And then you charge $500 for that session. It was non-taxable. And then you will save that. You can even email it, and that will go in your invoices. How you translate that is if you're running your small business at home, if you're still bringing in income, that would be the way to track that. What most, I think, retirees will be dealing with will be income and expenses. And the sales would be every month you getting your check from your retirement fund or your Social Security or whatever income stream you currently have, and your expenses. You know, one of the great features I like is all my vendors can be in one list. Literally, if you use your credit card or your debit card to go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, a root beer Slurpee, that's an expense and it should be tracked. And even at this point in your life, you know, like this stuff should be tracked, I think. And so you can mark all those as vendors, from simple as 7-Eleven to somebody that does something for me. And each one of those vendors, you can then go and create a report and see how much you spent with that vendor. That would be up for you to put in there. But the thing about QuickBooks is it learns pretty well. So those are my expenses. The famous reports page. Here she is. This is my favorite. So in the reports page, you can create any kind of report you want. You can aggregate anything. You can see these are my most common. It's profit and loss. You can just do a complete balance sheet. Anything that's owed to you in your aging summary. You can have a complete overview of your business, which is just your life, which is your bank account and your income and expenses. That's your business as a person to manage. So you can do that. Anybody owes you money, you can balance all that there. Sales and your income streams. That would be your regular monthly stable income streams, or the ones that are once in a while. Your expenses and vendors. You know, if you pay a vendor over X amount of money, you can give them a 1099 at the end of the year, so they pay their taxes. If somebody did a lot of work that year on your place, you can put all that in there. There could be healthcare people that come in. And again, everything I'm explaining now is for you and maybe someone else you want to manage. Anywhere in the world. Sales taxes, maybe not something you'll be dealing with unless you really start that t-shirt business online and it's going good. And everything would be in here to help you move forward in a project like that. And your accountant, you can make any report for your accountant you want to send them, or your accountant go in here and make that by themselves. Payroll, if you are going to run a payroll, obviously that's a separate thing. So within these reports, you can just do any report. So there's a profit and loss. It's just automatically populated. In here as well, you can do a profit and loss by client. So you can go each client, and that client in your case would be LADWP, for those income and expenses. So the reports page is one of my absolute favorites. And, you know, I use it less and less because the more I see stability in my reports, the less I check on them. Taxes. Did we just get through that? I hate to be the one that brings that up now. But nevertheless, you can manage all these. You can do all your filings for your taxes, different kind of taxes. If you are still driving around at all, you can use the application for QuickBooks to track your mileage. Accounting would be several different accounts. And my accountant, you can see my accountants on the very top here. You can add bookkeepers or accountants. These would be capital and if they want to lend you, and you could add other apps. There are other things that work with QuickBooks, a credit card swiper, so on and so forth, and your insurances and your policies. That's a pretty good one. I don't really use this, but I probably should. You can just place all that there. But of course, they're also going to try to pitch you something. So that's what you wake up in the morning, you're having your coffee, you're looking at everything. Thank goodness everything's okay for the moment. You can close it all down, and you don't have to do that double trip that I used to do. Let's go to my finance tab. Say, okay, let's first check my mortgage, and then let's check my credit union, and then my basic bank account. All right, let's look at LADWP, my AAA, my auto insurance, my cable, my mom's cable, my phone, all of these expenses, from the IRS, all these different expenses to the credit cards are now in one tidy place, right in here, lined up over here, and they're talking to each other. I'm going to close that for a moment. I'm going to stop my sharing. I'm going to talk to you about an important subject here, and that is, how safe is this? I mean, how secure is this? So we're thinking, all right, well, now I've taken everything and put it in one place. It's like putting everything in your wallet. Now the wallet's gone, and what do I do now? That's definitely a consideration. For sure, that's a consideration. The same consideration is, what if it's safe and the company closes down? Now, what happens to all that work that I did? Okay, so take these apart. I think the first thing about an online life and using these conveniences is there is that like Kierkegaardian leap of faith. I take it, I've been doing it for 20 years with Intuit. It's a really big company. And everything I do, whatever I click on the computer, is that sort of trust. Akin to getting in my car and firing it up and rolling down the driveway and down the street. I haven't really checked my brakes. I haven't even, is everything working? I don't do that. I get in the car, I start it, and I build up some steam, and then I think, okay, let's put the brakes on now. And thank goodness they work. But I have that trust and I use it and I do it. My affairs are not to the point where I need a celebrity accountant, to look after things that are bigger than I can wrap my mind around. So all this works for me and puts it in my hands to really manage. And the time savings and the money savings given to you from your information is pretty great. So number one, security. Now security with QuickBooks with most online accounts is all the same. If you log into your BOA account or your health insurance account, they're using the same encryption as Intuit. They're probably Intuit could even been building the systems that health insurance plan is using. Intuit's a huge company. They build QuickBooks, but they're building platforms for all sorts of other places. It's an engineering firm, if you think of it that way. On a standalone, QuickBooks Online is pretty darn safe. I think it's almost safer than opening 7 tabs and forgetting that one's open when you're going through your finances. So, I can compartmentalize that online safety and feel good about that. What's important for me is obviously to keep my computer up to date and make sure my other tech hygiene is in good shape and everything is working the way it should. But QuickBooks Online, to enter information, I personally feel is safe, and many, many users do. They haven't had any major breaches. Nothing has been released yet, but that's you'd expect that from them because they're using protocols that are, way past just a consumer company. Their contracts are government and defense and things like that. The second part, what happens if they close down and just all of a sudden it's gone? Well, QuickBooks runs reports, and you run reports all the time. In those reports, you also save the data that would then open in an Excel sheet. You'd be able to have all your data in one place and enter it again. That's automatic. That you don't have to do anything for that to happen, that backup. That's another, I think, a little far-fetched that it just automatically closed down. But these were concerns and fears. I sort of wedge those, which are real, against the convenience and the longevity that I've had at this point. I really don't think I could be as active and I could be as many places and manage a small business and a life and a future retirement as well without using something clear like this. It just wasn't working for me to jot things down in other places. The other thing is I work with a lot of retirees or folks heading there, and there's a lot of years to work still. There's still a lot of income streams out there. And there is that willy-nilly way of just, I'll do this and you can pay me that. You can Venmo me that, or write me a check for that. But if you do organize that part of your life, that thing that you do, or those things that you do, you can really see an income stream come along. The income stream could be $2,800 a year. It could be $1,600 a year. It could be $28,000 a year. And you can see them aggregate in one place. And, before you know it, you can start matching up what income streams you have from cutting hair or doing any service that you have or new or want to learn up against what you're bringing in. And I've had seniors play games where they match their pension and their Social Security against what they're bringing in. They try to even those out a little bit and just see, how you can work on that. Entering data on QuickBooks Online is time consuming. You'll sit in front of that computer, you'll go over and over again, you'll add everything. But once that's done, I assure you, you'll have a much cleaner and better experience. So I'll close with this on this QuickBooks Online tutorial. Step number 1, go to QuickBooksOnline.com. Read and study. Even if you're like, I don't need all this, Elijah has just spaced me out with all of this talk, take a look, let it sink in. Let it just sit back there. See if having everything in a tidy, clean ledger sheet, a trusted online ledger sheet could reduce stress after everything is organized and easily accessible. There's a free 30-day trial. It's like a puzzle. You can sign up. It's not bad to have an Intuit account. You'll get the security email, you'll sign in, and you'll create a chart of accounts. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel and say, I don't want it. You have 30 days to play with that. That's a good way for you to also organize all your expenses, just being to think, what's out there? What's floating out there in the ether that I can now wrangle and put into one place. And once you do that, if you go further you want, if not, you can just close it down. Talk to your accountants. Think about yourself today. Think about yourself today in a year, in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and think that if you have everything in one clean place, who can help you manage that? Or Who could benefit from that? Who do you want to benefit from seeing all of your hard work? These things are new concepts for many. The idea that you're a business now, just not getting the check in and out, I think is wise, to see yourself that way. You've done so much and you have so much yet to do. And QuickBooks Online is just one tool to help you see that in front of you so you can get back out fishing. I hope to see you in our tech classes coming up. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us and study, and have a great summer. I'll see you soon. This is Elijah.